Sir, I have a question for you. How did you become wealthy?
How do you know I'm
Tell us real quick, how big was the company? How many employees? How many employees?
At one point, I had 300 employees.
And how about total revenue? More than 10 million?
You insult me.
Hey, was it more than 50 million?
You insult me.
Where are you from?
Serious? I'm from New York City, but I live here in Century City.
In Los Angeles now. Where do you think it's better to do business, New York or Los Angeles? Did you have business partners?
Yes, I did. I had 4 partners.
So what was your superpower? What did you focus on when you were growing the business?
Edward Lewis, the quiet architect behind Essence magazine. Edward Lewis is the co-founder of Essence. When people talk about black media pioneers, one name that deserves far more recognition is Edward Lewis. Not loud, not flashy, not constantly in front of cameras. But without Edward Lewis, there may never have been an Essence magazine at all. Today, which marks his 86th birthday, we're taking a look at the remarkable life of the businessman, publisher, entrepreneur, and visionary who helped create one of the most influential black publications in American history. This is the story of Edward Lewis. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, America was changing rapidly. The civil rights movement had shaken the country. Black culture was evolving. Black identity was becoming more visible, more confident, and more powerful. But there was a problem. Mainstream media largely ignored black women. Their beauty, intelligence, culture, ambitions, and everyday experiences were either overlooked or stereotyped. And that gap in the market created an opportunity. Edward Lewis saw it. Born on May 15, 1940, Edward Lewis grew up during a period when opportunities for black Americans were heavily restricted. Yet despite those barriers, he developed a strong interest in business, communication, and entrepreneurship. He eventually attended University of Houston and later earned an MBA from Harvard Business School, a massive achievement at the time for a black businessman in America. That Harvard education would later become one of the foundations for his success. But even with elite credentials, corporate America in that era was not exactly welcoming to black executives. So instead of waiting for permission, Edward Lewis and a small group of partners decided to build something themselves. In 1970, Edward Lewis, alongside Clarence O. Smith, Cecil Hollingsworth, and Jonathan Blount, co-founded Essence magazine. And the mission was revolutionary. Not just a magazine for black women, but a magazine that centered black women. There's a difference. At the time, very few major publications spoke directly to black female readers with dignity, sophistication, and consistency. Essence changed that. It covered beauty, fashion, politics, relationships, career development, culture, spirituality, and empowerment. But perhaps most importantly, it made black women feel seen. The first issue of Essence magazine was released in May 1970. And almost immediately, it began building a loyal audience. Now here's where Edward Lewis's contribution becomes especially important. Many people focus on editors, writers, or celebrities associated with magazines. But Edward Lewis was the business strategist, the builder, the operator, the person helping turn the vision into a sustainable company. And that is not easy. Launching any magazine is difficult. Launching a black-owned magazine in 1970 America? That was an uphill battle. Advertising dollars were limited. Major corporations often underestimated black consumers, and investors were skeptical. But Edward Lewis understood something before many major companies did. Black consumers had enormous economic power, and black women represented one of the most influential consumer groups in America. That insight would eventually prove correct. Under Lewis's leadership, Essence grew from a startup publication into a media powerhouse. Over time, the magazine reached millions of readers across the United States. It became more than a publication. It became a cultural institution. For many black women, Essence wasn't just something you read. It was something you grew up with, something you trusted, something that reflected your reality. And Essence didn't just cover culture. It helped shape culture. The magazine featured interviews with major figures in entertainment, politics, activism, and business. Over the years, names like Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Whitney Houston, and Michelle Obama all became connected in some way to the Essence brand and audience. And then came another major innovation, the Essence Festival. Launched in 1995 in New Orleans, the festival eventually became one of the largest celebrations of Black music and culture in the United States. Today, thousands travel to attend it every year, and again, this all traces back to a vision that Edward Lewis helped create decades earlier. But Lewis's impact extended beyond publishing. He was also deeply committed to Black economic advancement. He often spoke about ownership, entrepreneurship, and the importance of building institutions rather than simply participating in systems created by others. That mindset mattered, because representation without ownership can be fragile. Edward Lewis understood that true influence often comes from controlling platforms, businesses, and narratives. And in many ways, Essence became proof of concept. Proof that Black-owned media could succeed at a national level. Proof that Black audiences were valuable. Proof that there was both cultural and financial power in serving communities authentically. Now, of course, the journey wasn't perfect. Like many media companies, Essence faced challenges over the years. Ownership changes, economic pressures, industry shifts, competition. The media landscape transformed dramatically with the rise of the internet and social media. But the legacy remained, and Edward Lewis's role in creating that legacy cannot be erased. What makes his story especially powerful is that he wasn't necessarily seeking celebrity. He was building infrastructure, and sometimes the people who change culture the most are not the loudest voices. They're the architects behind the scenes, the strategists, the organizers, the visionaries who create platforms for others to shine. Edward Lewis belongs in that conversation. His story is also a reminder that business itself can be a form of activism. Creating opportunities, changing narratives, employing people, building representation, creating institutions that outlive you. That matters, especially in communities that have historically been excluded from mainstream power structures. Today, we live in a world where conversations about diversity and representation are common. But in 1970, building a national magazine centered around Black women was considered risky. Edward Lewis and his partners took that risk anyway, and history proved them right. For aspiring entrepreneurs watching this video, there's another lesson here too. Sometimes the biggest opportunities exist where people are being ignored. Edward Lewis identified a community that mainstream media failed to fully respect and serve, and instead of complaining about it endlessly, he built something. That takes courage, it takes patience, and it takes vision. Now, as Edward Lewis celebrates another birthday today, it's worth recognizing not just the man himself, but the doors he helped open. Because generations of Black writers, editors, photographers, executives, creators, and entrepreneurs benefited from the foundation that Essence helped establish. And many modern Black media platforms owe something, directly or indirectly, to pioneers like Edward Lewis. So while his name may not always trend online, his impact is undeniable. Edward Lewis helped build one of the most influential Black-owned media brands in modern American history. And that deserves recognition. Happy birthday to Edward Lewis. And thank you for helping create a platform that empowered millions. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And let me know in the comments, what other overlooked Black pioneers should we cover next? Thanks for watching.
Recognizing the importance of music, the synergy that came about, and I have often said that nobody comes to New Orleans over the 4th of July unless there's a reason.
Right.
And the reason why Essence was so successful is because Black women knew, in terms of the credibility that we have built up over the years, that this is something that I can be supportive of because I know Essence is going to take care of us.
Sure.
And so They have been supportive of us of all these years. The theme of the festival is a party with a purpose. People get entertained in the evening and they get food for thought during the day, and it all comes together. But Essence, I never take the reader for granted. And whenever I travel and I meet black women and I ask them, is there still a need for a magazine called Essence? They look at me if I lost my mind. And I say that I like to think that every black woman reads Essence. I know that not to be true.
Sure. And
Essence has to prove itself every month with regard to getting the primary buyer to buy the magazine. And so after 44 years, it's still going, and that brings great continued joy to me.
You should be very proud. It's a great read. It's a wonderful book. I said to you earlier, I could see it in my mind's eye like a movie. It's so dramatic. The first few years of being in business, loaded with all kinds of problems. I'm amazed at the people skills you all had to muster to make everything move along. And I highly recommend the read. It's just really a wonderful thing. And then also, Ed, the fact that you're a UNM grad just makes it all just worthwhile. It just really does. Thank you for coming in. Really appreciate it. Hope to see you again here soon. We've a lot to talk about with black business in our state as well. We'd love to have your opinion on that too.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I see more on the web too.
All
Absolutely.
right.
Thanks, Ed Lewis.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What did you do, sir? What line of business were you in? This is to help the younger
I
generation.
started a magazine for black women called Essence.
How long has the magazine been around for? Is it still around today?
The magazine came out in May of 1970, so it's still publishing, 56 years now.
So you've been an entrepreneur over 50 years.
Absolutely.
Did you have business partners?
Yes, I did. I had 4 partners.
So what was your superpower? What did you focus on when you were growing the business?
Cash. Just remember one thing. Cash is king, queen, jack, and everything else.
How old are you today?
85.
You're not 85. Are you serious?
May 15th, 1940. That's when I was born.
Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do.
How did you know God was real? Did you grow up in the church?
Yes, I did. You feel it in your heart, and you intellectualize with your head. You study it.
Where are you from?
I'm from New York City, but I live here in Century City.
In Los Angeles now. Where do you think it's better to do business, New York or Los Angeles?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah? It doesn't matter?
It does not matter. If you have an idea and you think that someone is not doing an idea that you think you can do, go for it. That's what it's about. Businesses started in the South, in Virginia.
100%. Now tell us real quick, how big was the company? How many employees? How many employees?
At one point, I had 300 employees.
And how about total revenue? More than 10 million?
You insult me.
Hey, so was it more than 50 million?
You insult me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So it was a 9-figure company?
Yes. Sold my business to Time Warner.
Hey, sir, thank you so much for your time. So I got to shake your hand real quick before I get out of here, man. You have amazing advice. I appreciate that. Real quick, I want to just show you the channel. That way you can check it out. So, you know, Tom Cruise.
What industry did you decide to pursue a career?
So I go all over and just ask people questions on their advice to help the younger generation.
I'm going to give you my email.
Yes, sir.
So you can send that to me.
Absolutely.
In 1970, when Essence came out, black women were thought of as uncouth, loudmouth, unfeminine, on welfare, poor, and couldn't read. And that's what we had to overcome. At the Essence Festival, which is now an extraordinary event that takes place over 4th of July weekend, it brings over 500,000 people. There is no magazine that I'm aware of has that capability, locally or internationally, to bring that number of people together in one weekend to celebrate black women. And I remember being at the hotel. This is 2007, and I saw this black woman looking at me. Or at least I saw someone looking at me. And I got my breakfast, and she came over to me. She said, "Are you Ed Lewis?" I said, "Yes, I am." She says, "I'm 47 years old, and I'm from Mobile, Alabama. I want to thank you for what you did for bringing Essence to the world. You have no idea what you did for me and many other black women. I mean, that sent chills up and down my spine to know that I may have had that kind of impact by helping bring the magazine into the world. I can say the same with Latina. Helping Latina get off the ground, Essence put in over $20 million into developing that magazine. So that was a really major investment in terms of making decision, develop a magazine that would speak volumes about how these two communities, particularly Hispanic women and black women, are going to make a difference in the lives of all of us as we continue to be in this great country that we love.